Hello and welcome. This is Mark Justice. Thank you for checking out my gig on Fiverr. Today I'm going to be walking you through the 5 steps it takes to complete your mix. Going through the mix prep guide here. Step 1 is align your tracks. As you can see in the guide, it says ensure that your tracks are all the same, start at the same time, and are all the same length. Now what that means is I have some recording software pulled up here. Chances are your session looks something similar to this, where you might have some MIDI files and you have some recording files. And as you can see, I think these are vocal files, but you can see they don't start till later on. They don't start at the beginning. So there are a couple of ways to basically make sure that they're all the same length. First way is to select them in your recording software of choice. In this software, I just click tracks and click bounce to tracks. And since they're a mic, if you just have one microphone, you know it's going to be mono. If you have 2 microphones, it's stereo, or most virtual instruments, keyboards, stuff like that, that's all going to be stereo. But I know these are vocal performances with 1 microphone, so we're going to select mono, and we want tracks, and then as you can see, it's going to create these new tracks, so I'm going to hit OK. Wait for that to mix it down, and it might say something different in your recording software. It might say mix to different tracks or mix to different stems. It's all the same thing. So now you can see basically we have these new tracks that it's created, and it still doesn't start at the same time. It doesn't start at the beginning as the MIDI files do. So what you can do is just easy way is just drag it. So, I mean, you can save some time if you select all of them and then just drag them all to the beginning. That's perfect. And then what you're going to do is the same thing, select all of them and then drag them all to the very end. That one. Or you can do it one by one as I am. Alright, so now this is what you want it to look like, to where the tracks all start and end at the same time. And it's the same thing for your MIDI file as well. If you're sending in tracks to be mixed and mastered, they will need to be in audio format. So if you have a MIDI file, you're going to do the same thing, is just bounce it to a new track. This is going to be in stereo. Click, because it's a virtual instrument, click OK. It'll mix it down. Alright, so this is mixed down now. I'm just going to drag it so they all stop at the same time. That's the main point of this whole process. So as you can see, all of our tracks start at the same time and they end at the same time, which is what we're looking for. So that's perfect. Now, what we're going to do is move on to step 2, which is create a song folder for your tracks. So you can just do this on your desktop. I find that's the easiest place to create a new folder. So we're just going to go to New, click on Folder. Then we're just going to name it our song name if you have one. I'm just going to call this one Burning Flame, because that's exciting, isn't it? Alright, so I'm going to rename it Burning Flame. And as you can see, we're at 103 beats per minute. Alright, so now we have our folder created and named with the correct tempo. Now what we're going to do, as you can see, is export these files into the folder that we just created. Now, something that's going to make this process easier is actually to name all of your tracks before you export them, but you can name them afterwards too. It's just easier if you do it beforehand. So I've already listened to this. I know that this is the lead vocal. So you can type in lead vocal. or Vox. Lead Vox is fine too. Let's go with that. This is a vocal double, so I'll just put lead double. Alright, so these are all labeled now. Hopefully it'll do it on the tracks. If not, I'll show you how to name it once we export it. So then after you've bounced on all the tracks in your project down to these files, we're going to export them. So just select them. Going to export audio. We're going to export them as tracks because they're separate tracks. And while you're exporting, you can just export it as 4800 for the sample rate and 24-bit for the bit depth. Unless you're working in something, if you're working in 41, you can just export it in 41. But yeah, if you can, go ahead and shoot for 4800. So now we're going to the file that we just created, or to the folder we just created rather. So go to desktop, burning flame right there. And then for the file name, we can just type in the same just to make sure we have everything we need. Export. It says it's going to create all of these. Just hit OK. Now it's going to mix that down and export it. Alright, so all that's mixed down now. And let's check our folder to make sure that it did indeed get placed in here. Perfect. So all of these are the correct name. And as you can see, the beauty of it is now we know what each one is. We don't have to re-listen to it and figure out, except for this one. So like this one, we're not sure what this is. So I'm just going to click on it and play it to find out where the audio is. Sounds like this might just be empty. Yep, so this is just an empty track. Alright, so nothing to worry about there. So if it's empty, you can just delete it. If for some reason your track bounced and it wasn't labeled, you can just rename it at this time. So let's say this was a vocal track. We could just label it vocal lead or double, whatever it is. Or let's say it's a drum track, or just say drum kit, bass drum, maybe. Something like that. But for this case, we don't need it, so we're just going to delete it. Alright, so now that all of your tracks are in the folder that we've created and everything is here, here's also a good time to check if you know, let's say you had a drum part and it wasn't showing up. Now you can kind of hunt it down and figure out where it went, but basically, so you know all your tracks are indeed in this folder. So now that we have all of our tracks in this folder and everything looks good, it's all labeled, we're going to go to wetransfer.com, which I have it pulled up here. Just wetransfer.com. Click I agree. And the beauty of WeTransfer is you don't have to have an account to use their services, which is really handy. So now for the purposes of Fiverr, what we're going to do is click the email to little subsection there, and I'm going to have this email in the description for the gig on Fiverr, so you don't have to manually type this in, but this is the email address you're going to send it to. It's markjustice42fiverr@gmail.com. Then you can just type in your email here. And for the message, you can just type in Fiverr gig or anything you want, really. Or if you have any notes on your mix or questions, feel free to add them in here as well. Then what we're going to do is click select folder. Beauty of it is we already have that folder made, so just go desktop, then click the folder that you created earlier. And it's going to upload that, and then all you have to do is just click transfer. So once the transfer is complete, you'll get a message that says you're done, which is fantastic. It'll tell you who you sent it to, which is my email in this case, which I'm very excited to be working on your music. It'll tell you how many files were sent and what was sent. And that is pretty much it. The hard part is over. Now you can just relax, kick back, and enjoy your new mixed and mastered song. Thank you very much, guys, for checking out my Fiverr gig and for watching this video. It is truly an honor and a pleasure to be working on your music. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to just hit contact me and send me a message, and I will be very happy to get back to you on any questions or concerns that you might have regarding this mix and master Fiverr gig. So thank you guys very much. Hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I will catch you on the next gig.